Okay, hello everyone. We've got a great new episode. We have a great artist that I'm so excited to chat with, who I've been following on Instagram for years now, Kiki Valdés. Kiki, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Topper. Appreciate it. It's nice to be with you.
Same here. So, okay, let's just dive into. I'd love to just hear a little bit about you as a person and your artistic journey. So, take it away from the beginning. A little bit about yourself.
Uh, I how can I start? I was born in Miami, and that's kind of where I'm from. My parents are exiles from Cuba, so we lived periodically from Miami and New Jersey, New York area, Miami, and yeah, I mean, I pretty much grew up in Miami. Miami's changed a lot over the years, and but I was kind of there when it felt like the Wild West. Just it's grown a lot.
And
And
so when you were a kid, were you exposed to the arts or did you always know you wanted to be a painter? Or, what was your early exposure to art and, the dream of your path?
um well, I noticed very early in school, um I noticed like kids in my class would draw, and I would just want to like kind of compete with them and draw, and if they can draw something, I would, we would have like little drawing contests who can draw better. As far as in the arts, did I grow up with it? Not necessarily. I guess it was nourished when I was a kid. My mom, she works like kind of in like the fashion industry with clothing. So when I was a kid, we used to go to New York a lot and just wander around and eat croissants and like go to Macy's and go to all these stores. So I was exposed to a lot of um I guess like during the holidays, like the Macy's displays and stuff like that, and just being able to kind of see creativity. And I remember in our house, as a kid, in our basement in New Jersey. I lived in New Jersey till I was about 1 till about 7 years old, um, and in our basement we had a print of Bernard Dubuffet, of one of his clown paintings. So that was kind of like my first kind of look at art, and from there I would draw in school, and my mom just always encouraged me to do it. And from there my mom would take me to museums and all types of stuff. So it was like the more interest I showed, the more it was poured into my life. So I really appreciate that from my mom. And my dad was a reader. My dad loved to read, and my dad would just kind of hang back and didn't really have a strong opinion if I wanted to pursue art or not, but he was just always kind of supportive, but just kind of like, he didn't tell me no, or he was just kind of like hang back. So I was always nurtured very early on, um, in art, but I really just started drawing like every little kid. I wanted to be a cartoonist or an animator or something like that. And then when I was like 12, 11, we used to collect comics. So I thought for a while I wanted to collect comic. I thought I wanted to be a comic book illustrator. So that was like my first love. Like I thought I wanted to do that in cartoons and stuff. And in school, I was really bad at reading. And in class, they make you read out loud, and I would freak out, and I would like run to the bathroom and hide. And and I was like in all the ESE classes, like I had a really hard time just kind of learning like everybody else in school. So I'd be in those classes, and then my escape was drawing and things like that. So I knew I wasn't dumb because I could do things that a lot of other kids in our class couldn't do. So I was able to excel at drawing, and I was in the drawing club when I was like elementary school and all that. And then I pursued that, and then when I was in 6th grade, a really great teacher, a lady by the name of Carla Gordon, told me that I should apply for like a magnet program, which that's a thing in Florida. It's like it's really geared to what you're into in the arts. So it's could be dance or painting or drawing and theater, musical theater. So I got into an art program. It's for 6th grade. And then when you get into 6th grade, they just kind of like encourage you to keep pursuing it. So I did that all the way to high school. So I went to New World School of the Arts in downtown Miami, And I went there for 4 years, and the art program was great. So you're painting from life and all those things. And then from there, I got a scholarship to go to MICA in Baltimore, and I did that. By then, I was kind of done with school. I didn't want to do school anymore, but
What does MICA stand for?
the Maryland Institute College of Art.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, so
it's actually the oldest art school in the country, and I think Matisse's first exhibition there in the U.S. was at MICA. Believe it or
wow,
not.
that's
Uh,
unbelievable.
Gildrud Stein is from Baltimore, and she was a big proponent of the Cubists. Yeah, so she got his work there, which is fascinating.
That
Yeah,
is. So
yeah,
you were done with school in your mind or emotionally, but you still ended up going
yeah, yeah. I think it was just that whole thing that I was actually the first person in my family to go off to school, and there was a little bit of responsibility of like I don't know, like making people in my family proud, I guess. And I think that comes more from like you know, um, you know, my parents were immigrants and just wanted to kind of do that. And so I went, I did the whole 4 years of school. I actually did not graduate, believe it or not, um, but I learned what I needed to learn. I made the connections I need to make. College is who you meet, pretty much the friends you maintain.
for sure.
That's what I've learned through the art world. It's like who you went to school with and who you remember and who remembers you. And even if you see people kind of walking, you'll see them in New York or wherever. And then it's like that automatic club. It's that
Yeah.
connection that you have with people.
So when you were there, you were inspired to continue on the artistic path, or what was the light bulb? What was the light bulb moment,
The
or
light bulb.
the light bulb moment that said, "Okay, I can pursue this, as a career and want to stay on this artistic path." Because a lot of people, I'd imagine, don't even after art school.
Well, I knew right away after when I started high school, I knew I wanted to be a painter. Like that was like I already knew. I always knew I wanted to do art, like comic books or something, but by the time I was 14 and I realized like I could just paint and not tell a story and I could just like experiment and just kind of let it all out and the things I'm thinking about and it doesn't have to make any sense at the moment or at all.
Wow,
At that moment I knew I wanted to be a painter. And I
that is
had a really big moment for me when I was about 14, when I was in high school, 15 or 16. I went to an opening for an artist, a Cuban artist that passed away from AIDS, I think in 1990, named Carlos Alfonso. There was a retrospect of his at the Miami Art Museum, and I went when I was like 15 and I actually met Kenny Scharf at the opening. And that was very like big for me because that summer before that, I went to New York with my mom and we went to all the museums and there was a great exhibition. I forgot the name of the exhibition, but it was like monumental works by like Keith Haring, Basquiat, and Kenny Scharf. So that fall, when I went to the Carlos Alfonso retrospective, I got to meet Kenny Scharf, and that kind of like instilled in me like, yeah, I want to be a painter. And he knows
wow,
that story, so it's kind of interesting how that was. Yeah, so I just knew it was something I wanted to do, and I'll figure it out however way I can do it. And yeah, so
wow. Okay,
did
so
that kind of cover?
yeah, to have the light bulb moment at such a young age is really powerful. And so,
Yeah, I
like,
definitely had it early. Yeah.
um, would you say that there were people in the art world aside from Kenny Sharp, that inspired your taste or inspired your style or just inspired your journey?
Definitely, I got to work um, for a week for an exhibition for Wayne White in Hollywood, Florida. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Were you there? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Because it looks a little pixelated from my side. Um, so I got to be like an assistant for a week for Wayne White, which was really big for me because uh, he just did that big movie that was on Netflix, and I was really following his work, and I was a huge fan of Pee Wee's Playhouse and his paintings, and I was just a really big fan of his work, and the fact that I spent a whole week with him, and just kind of see his approach about art, and how it's very intuitive, and it's about like his upbringing in Tennessee and just where he comes from. And I just really enjoyed that and the conversations we had. And I just love his style because it's really like, I don't know, it's very almost like it's very modernist, cubist, but like mixed with country and Americana. I just really gravitated towards that, and I feel like
So,
that.
did he
Um,
design the sets for Pee Wee's Playhouse or something, or what is his
yeah,
claim
he
to?
did. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, he did a lot of the stuff that like we grew up with. Like he did Pee Wee's Playhouse. He did a lot of the puppets. And he did what else did he do? He did a bunch of music videos. Big Time by Peter Gabriel. That
I
music
think
video
so.
from well, he designed that. He did like one of the music videos for Smashing Pumpkins. So he was always known for television production, like design, art direction. And then I think in like the early 2000s or in the 90s, he started exhibiting his paintings, I think in a diner in LA. And then he just kind of took off and his work just started doing well. And then he's been exhibiting ever since. So when I met him, I didn't know him by name. I mean, I already knew about his path in the art world, but I already knew of his work when I was like, 5, 6 years old. So that was like a big thing for me to spend time with him. And yeah, I mean, I don't think my work necessarily looks like him. I think he thought like he when we met, he's like, I think our work relate, which I thought that was like really like, I don't know, I felt that was I was very flattered that he would
Yes,
say like,
great
yeah, I
compliment.
could see. Yeah, it was really sweet. And I as a much younger up and coming artist, I really appreciated that. And I always remember that. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I've met, a lot of artists that have inspired me, just friends and things like that, that have kind of helped me along and make me think and things like that.
So, so from Maryland, you decided you wanted to continue down the artistic path and continue
Yeah.
to paint, and then take us on the journey to where you are today.
So, um, I went back to Miami, from Baltimore, really motivated, just really wanting to just pursue art in a very serious manner. But I noticed that the ever growing art scene in Miami, I guess the galleries, like, there were a lot, but not that many. It was very small. And just because you talk to them and you ask them to come by your studio doesn't mean that they will. And so it was kind of hard to kind of um, just make certain connections in the beginning. And from my perspective, there was a sense of gatekeeping and stuff where, it just felt a lot. I'm not just speaking for myself, a lot of artists that I know that I've grown up with, it felt very, I guess, like closed off, and you can't, they just kind of
That's
keep
what the
showing the
art
same
world is
people over
famous
and
for.
over. Yeah.
So the art world
So
is famous for that gatekeeping.
yeah. And, a smaller town like Miami, it's even like worse because it's like, it could be debated the stuff they show in New York or Paris. Okay, is it good or is it not? But in Miami, it's a lot of the stuff I thought I didn't like at all. And then there was stuff that I think was merited, but that's just personal opinion. It's all
Yeah.
subjective anyway.
Well,
So I was
well, in my
frustrated. I was frustrated with that. And then I noticed that like my connection were, I knew a lot of nightclub people like on the beach. And then, being like this like 23-year-old, aspiring painter, I started reaching out to club promoters. I'm like, these guys got money. They got connections. They got money. So I started hooking up with those dudes, and they would let me paint inside the nightclubs. So I would just paint for people, and I would just paint whatever I wanted. But I would do it. Um, I ended up doing that for 2 years, like twice a week for like 2 years, and
Whoa,
and
inside different nightclubs, or what was the story? Like, do you remember the first nightclub you painted and what you painted in there?
yeah, at the time it was called Pearl at Nikki Beach. It's like right there on like South Beach.
Yeah.
So there was a famous party there, and these guys that I know, like they would just draw a crowd, and a lot of people would be there. And so I would paint, and it was great. And I would do that, and then there was another spot we would paint at on Washington Avenue. It's called Bed. It's not there anymore. And sometimes I would paint at
Bed.
a place called the
Oh my
Forge, which
god,
is
that
really
was the
historic. Like Forge. I would, huh?
so, I think there's a little bit of a delay in in our connection.
Yeah,
But
there's a delay.
um, but I remember bed. It's that was the place that literally had beds, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was there every Monday night. Yeah. And it was crazy, man, because you're there. I'm there painting. I turn around and you could literally see anybody. You would see Nas, you would name it. You would see like Michael Jordan, you would see Justin Timberlake, like these people would be like just everywhere, and I'm there just painting. And then sometimes people come up and want to buy it and stuff like that. And I was just kind of learning, getting my way. Like I also needed to make money, so that was kind of a way to make money and like
What was your
not
pitch?
necessarily like work at Kinkos or something. So it was like, what was my
What was
pitch?
yeah, to get in those doors.
Well, I did it a few other times, but like for like New Year's parties and stuff, like I would just paint different places, and I would do the painting really big on an easel so people can like see it. So it would not be something small, it would be something big. And so I actually just had documentation. So I shared it. Like back then it was on a CD-ROM, like whatever, like on a CD, and I give it to them and then they could just look over everything. And that's how I'd get hired. And one guy was like, hey, he said, this guy named Perry Sesson. He was like, "Hey, we won't do the New Year's party, but we'll just do a trial. Like, we'll get you to do our two parties. If it continues, then we'll get you every week." And I did it for 2 years. And I did bed in New York too. At one point, I had bed in New York, so I did that too. Yeah,
So I thought that you
yeah. And
meant
I
that
did
you were
that, and that was really great.
I thought you meant that you were painting murals. So you were actually painting a canvas in there.
I was painting canvases. I was mixing colors like while I'm there and everything. And like
You were
when
part of
I
the
stopped doing it because I didn't want to do it.
the delay is so bad, but I'm gonna edit it.
Yeah,
Um, so so you were part of the entertainment.
yeah, more or less. Yeah, yeah. It felt after a while, it felt a little degrading because it's not I just wanted to be a painter in my studio by myself. And here I am like thrown in front of a bunch of people. And it's just like, geez, and at the time, you know, I have this like perception of like people in the art world, this is not going to interest people in the art world at all. But at the same time, like I can't just sit around just waiting for something. I didn't have like that silver spoon. Like I couldn't just wait. I had to get up and make it happen. I had to like make money. I had to do whatever. So that was really beneficial. And I made a lot of connections and people in Miami, a lot of people that ended up being art collectors that even some people like were involved in opening galleries and stuff later on down the road. So it did help, and it let me kind of cut through a lot. Like I would meet people that would promise me things, and unless promises are empty, unless it's like yeah, people with a lot of empty promises. So I it built my discernment in people and communicating and things like that. So it did help on a social level as well, just communicating. And but it was an experience. So I um from there, I didn't want to do it anymore because it was like I felt like it started kind of weighing in on me, like what I wanted to do with art and my voice. So I wanted to break away from that. So I did. I did it really dramatically, and that really affected me, I guess, like financially. So I really backed away from it. And at the time as well, like murals started getting more popular. Like in Wynwood, they were doing murals and things like that. So now
All right.
everybody wants the murals on the side of a building. And I knew that I wasn't gonna do that because I knew that like I thought that was good more for like the graffiti guys, like the guys that I grew up with that really like did graffiti. I was like, look, I'm not a fugazi. I want like that's what you guys do, and I'm gonna stick with like easel painting in my studio. Like that's what I want to do. So so really early on, I was even offered to do murals in Wynwood by Books. He has a primary projects, which is a gallery in Miami. He was like, hey man, I can give you a wall. And I was like, nah, man, save that for like the dudes that have been putting in work. So that kind of started dying off the live painting. And I just dude, I just started I started curating my own shows with my friends, and I started doing that. It was just whatever I could do. So if a guy knew how to do lighting and I liked his work, it's like, hey, hang your work and do the lighting. and like, hey, if you're good at graphic design, hang this. And I try to build like a team of people that we can like just rely on each other, and find like just a beautiful space where we can hang our work, so it could be like a declaration of like we're good artists too. It's not just what everybody else is doing, and what the gallery circuit in our town is doing, but it's what like we're doing. So I did kind of do that for a while, and that was cool. But then it gets into that whole thing. I'm very particular, so I started feeling like, okay, I'm gonna start feeling like I'm a curator. Like before, it was like I'm painting live at these events, and I'm like, I don't want to be known for that. So then when I started curating with my friends, I'm like, I don't want to be known for that. It did create a lot of relationships. I started, uh, being included more in like group shows and meeting people, and just more people seeing my work. And then from there, like there's from their sense, like there's been things that happen. There's hiatuses, there's highs, there's lows, and that's just a part of it. It's like an ever changing landscape, and you see what's hot right now, and then it fades away, and then you just kind of, as long as you're, speaking for myself and for others, like as long as you're just consistent and you just make the work and you're like true to yourself, it always comes back in a like kind of nice, unexpected, beautiful, serendipitous way. Hello, five.
Hell yeah. It records it records me from my computer and you from your computer, and you're crystal clear. So, okay. Whoa. So back to where we were. Now, what was that collective that you were working on that you started to curate, and what was your kind of mental framework for who you wanted to be part of what that was that you were doing and building?
Um, well, from my perspective, I just came at it very, very upfront. I wanted to show people that I'm friends with that are maybe are that I felt were underappreciated or weren't getting the eyeballs on them. Um, so just artists that are, I guess, that maybe I felt that they were on the same boat as me, that didn't have the exposure. And then also just the fact of, you know, I would show with them and we would do the shows together. And it's just a way of like, um, getting a group of artists together. I think I did like maybe 4 shows like that, 4 or 5, and just, there's power in numbers. We all know people, and then people come and things like that. And then we might even, I used to invite artists that were like show with pretty good galleries, so that way it would like people from the galleries would come by, and if it could benefit someone, or if someone could maybe learn something new from someone, or have a conversation, or a gallery visit. So that was my intent of doing it. But
Were
then
you
at a
renting
point,
a space, or like what were the logistics of it?
at the time, I felt like at the time, definitely there was a lot more available warehouses in Miami, and a lot of the landlords wanted to lease them, so they were a lot more open. Now I don't know how it is, but back then, I'm talking about like 2010, yeah, like 2010, 2009, 2008, 2012, around there. There were just a lot of warehouse that were bare, and the landlords were pretty cool, that you could talk to, and you know, and you just, if they like you, you tell them it's art and they'll lease it to you. For me, all I really had to do is maybe get insurance or something for the space for the month or whatever. And then everything else was like really cool. Like, and that was just by relationship building.
Yeah.
There was this guy, he owns, I think, like a city block in Miami, and I used to have keys to like a lot of the little buildings and stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I had access to space. I didn't have to necessarily pay rent, thankfully, at the time, but just take care of the space, clean it up, paint it. And then guess what? There's suddenly, 100 people at an opening, and then the landlord just brings people like, oh, look at this. There's people here. It's not desolate. There could be, you know, your architecture firm here. There could be
Right.
a spa here. There could be this. There could be that. Um, so I understood. I'm of the mindset like I'm not gonna go against like the status quo. I get it, and I'm just gonna work with it, you know. So my mentality is like I knew they weren't gonna. I knew the moment they saw value in it, they're gonna kick us out. So I understood that, but I try to use it the most to my benefit and people that I worked with or whatever. And then from there, I got a really great art studio in Little River, which is like the kind of like right now it's very popular with like the galleries and stuff, and just kind of the Miami, what's going on in Miami, that area, Little River and Alapata. Little River, I had a studio there many years ago, and the guy, the property owner, um, he he built a studio, and he's like, "Here are the keys, like you can stay here." He charged me something, but it was very cheap at the time it was very cheap,
Mhm.
and so I ended up getting a studio from just doing shows, which was good, a really great studio. I mean, like like there was a little time now, like within the last few years, that I had struggled finding a new space, and I looked at myself back then. I'm like, kid, you don't know what you had, you know, because it's a beautiful space.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, man, it's just like putting your foot forward, you know, making the work, and then what are you going to do next with it, you know, and that was something that I tried to learn early on, like, you know, uh, I've met many great people that have given me a shot and have been very generous with me. But at the same time, like, you know, you have to go out, you have to put your best foot forward, and just do your best, I guess, you know, and at whatever you do. So from there, I had my studio space. I actually had a studio space, and my landlord kept telling me, "Hey, I think I can rent this for a lot more." You know, I'm like, I get it. I'm not,
That's
you know, I know, I get it. Like, it's like, it's cool. I'm like, oh, and I'm like, well, you have this other space, you know, on the same property that's a lot bigger. Why don't you move me there and keep me there? So he moved me. Turns out they didn't have an AC. So I was like, when are you gonna put the AC? And then it was creeping that I wanted to move to New York. So this was like 2010. And then I moved to New York. Well, I actually lived in Jersey.
mhm.
I had a crazy roommate. The guy was insane. Crazy
Right.
Albanian dude. Crazy dude. Crazy freaking dude. So, long story short, he pulled like a gun on me, but it was like a fake gun, but I thought it was real.
Yo.
So he pulled the gun on me, and then I ended up running going to my room, and I went on, you know, whatever it's called, Craigslist or whatever, and I
Yeah.
found a place down the street, and this was in so I moved. So I met with my so I met the this I went to this apartment building, and it was this old Greek lady, and so whatever, I signed the lease, and she was very very kind, and then she's like, oh, you can move in today, you can bring them. Okay, cool. So I literally moved, like, I think 5 days after that guy pulled that gun on me. So when I started taking everything out of the apartment, something in my heart told me, take out your paintings first, like take your paintings first. So I took my paintings. The landlord was there when I took my paintings, and she saw my paintings, and she's like, "Oh, you're a painter." And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "I'm an art collector." So, yeah. So she's like, "Do you have a studio?" And I'm like, "I don't." And she's like, "Well, this building has a basement." And she's like, "You can use the whole basement. I'm not going to charge you." So I had a gigantic basement, like, studio, you know? It looked like something out of, like, you know, Freddy Krueger, you know,
Yeah, no, I
like,
know those studio.
but it was great. I mean, I had space, I had a window, I could set up lights. It was fine. So, so she started collecting my work, and she was collecting my work. Sometimes I wouldn't have to pay the rent, and I just give her a painting. Like, it was awesome. Yeah. And I was like really close to New York, you know, and I was in a great neighborhood, so I could have my car. It wasn't like I'm walking around like New
Were you in
Yorkers. I had
Hoboken?
nothing against that. Huh?
Were you in Hoboken or where were you?
Englewood.
Oh, okay, yeah, right there.
Yeah, right there. So that was cool. And then so I was there for 5 years, and the 5 years I was there, I was going to like all the openings, and like just going to everything, try to rub elbows, and it was just like, man, this is like going nowhere, you know, like to get, you know, I did learn a lot of art and just seeing stuff, and that, you know, you have to kind of creatively, you have to wear your heart on your sleeve and just be more open. And that's what I loved about New York. It was just artists to me, the ones that I met were so sincere, and it's just like, just do it. Like, just there's no parameters, just there's no like set rules. And I really learned that my time up there. And so all that whole time I was there, I got in a few group shows here and there, benefits and things like that. But it was like, man. But my last year there, my landlord was like, I'm a member of the National Arts Club. And I'm like, okay. She's like, oh, the registrar is going to give you a call to be in a show. And I was like, all right. And
What year was this roughly?
2014. I don't even know how old I was at the time. I think I was maybe 33, 34. So the registrar gave me a call from the National Arts Club, and I'm like, whoa, it's in Gramercy Park. Wow, it's pretty official. And they have shows there at the National Arts Club. He called me. He's like, okay, so this is the gallery. We're thinking of something to do your show. And I'm like, what do you mean my show? Like, I thought this was a group show. He's like, no, we're giving you a show. You can have a show here. And I was like, what? All right, cool. And so I ended up getting a show at the National Arts Club. And so that was, it wasn't from like rubbing elbows with anybody. It was from my like landlord. And from, so that was incredible. Ended up doing that show. And the registrar, he's like, hey, come by and see the space. Just see the galleries. And at the time, they had a print show from Edvard Munch, which was incredible. So they even had like prints, like, I don't know what they were, etchings of like the Scream and stuff, and they were real. And I'm like my work's gonna be here. That's insane. For me, that was like really cool. So I ended up having the show. It was a smaller gallery there, and that was almost like my kind of my goodbye to New York, because I ended up, I had to move back to Miami. I had some things I had to take care of. Uh, so I did move back to Miami, kind of like with the the leg between my, what is that called, that, yeah, like my
Tail,
tail
you
between my legs. Yeah, I felt like I didn't feel like a failure, but it just felt like a few steps back for me, because I felt like that last year that I was there, that 2004 2014, I felt like I really started getting like some footing in New York. I started like, I started selling stuff, and things were like, starting to like, I really felt good about it. um but I ended up coming back to Miami, and and I I had an old apartment that I was renting out, and then I ended up starting to paint there, and I started using like my old little studio apartment as my studio, and just kind of building stuff up. And yeah, man, I mean, I can go on and on. I mean, it's like it's such a long story.
oh, I want
But
to hear it all.
yeah, and then from there, I a friend of mine, he's in charge of all the art for the libraries in Miami, and there's a huge art collection within the library system. So he reached out and he's like, "Hey, I'd love to like maybe do a residency with you or something." And I'm like, "Really? You guys have residencies?" He's like, "I don't know, but I'll type something up." So I was kind of like the guinea pig. So even like with you, like I think this is like your fourth episode, fifth. I always do things very early on. I'm always like if someone has an idea for something, I'm always like the guinea pig. And then it takes off, and then it's like I'm like, hey, you guys remember me? Always how it works. But yeah, so that was really cool. So I ended up doing a residency and then an art show. Um so I showed like, I don't know, like 30 paintings in the library, and I had like gallery space and stuff, and that was really cool. Did that. And um and then I linked up after that. I linked, was it around then? Yeah. So also during that time, I was like looking for a gallery, and I couldn't find a gallery, but I ended up finding, of all things, it's always unconventional. I ended up finding, I guess you could call a manager, or someone that just really helped me out. And it was someone that uh, was trying to kind of get in the art world, but his father is a huge, like gigantic art collector. So I was exposed to, auction houses, and just different parts of the art world I didn't know I would be able to see as a painter, at least for me at the time. So that was really cool. So if like I wanted to do a show, he would just kind of do it. He would ask a friend that had a gallery, and he's like, "Hey, we're gonna do a show for Kiki. Can we use your
Wow.
space?" So it wasn't even his gallery. Then he would be able to take it over. He did that for me and a few other artists. So that was really cool. But then he kind of got out of the art world, which is fine. But that was really cool because I got to meet like all types of like just it's just a really interesting experience and and just really fun. Um, and then from there, I was kind of solo again for a while, and I would just kind of then I had a hiatus for a while. I would make my work, but I wasn't showing it for a while. I think the last show I had in this time was in 2017. I had a drawing show at Swamp Space, which it's this great guy named Oliver Sanchez. He has a space there in the design district, and he's an artist and he's a fabricator, and he has his workshop behind his gallery, and he invites people to show at his space. But it's really like bohemian, really fun. And I did a drawing show during Miami Art Week in 2017, and we had a lot of people come by, and that was like really really great. It felt really good. And then there was a really big show across the street by Derek Adams, so Derek came by and hung out, which was really special. And then from there, I took a break. I was just working, and I didn't want to show because from 2017 before that, I had 5 years in a row. I had solo shows. Like I just did one show per year, and they were all unconventional, not through galleries, but through like either the National Arts Club or like just art centers and things like that, but not through like a commercial art gallery. And I don't know why that's happened, but that's just that's the way your story's written, and you just got to roll with it, and it'll make sense like later down the road. So 2017, I took a break and I started a business with my brother, and we started a coffee business. And so we were shipping coffee. We got in the supermarket, and that started doing pretty cool, and that took up a lot of my time. But still, I would paint. And then 2023, I had a solo show at my friend Amanda Baker's gallery. At the time, it was called Club Gallery. And it was in Miami, and we did a show there. And I did a show of mocha pots, which are their cafeteras. Those Italian mocha pots. I
Course.
just did a whole series of them. Yeah, but really fun. And I don't know. I just wanted to just paint the same thing and just see what happens. So that was a fun show. And her gallery was, she tried to have every show kind of like a party, just fun, like really fun thing. And she closed that gallery, and now from the ashes she started a gallery called Baker Hall. She started that, and she's been having great shows there, and we're still working together, but we're working out what capacity right now, because she's going uh uh kind of in a different route of what she was doing previously.
Mhm.
So that's been cool. We have a really great relationship. She's been amazing, and she's a really up and coming figure in the like Miami art scene, Miami art world, and even in New York as well. Because I know she lived in New York for a long time, so I know she's doing stuff there as well. And yeah, man. I mean, that's kind of where
What
it's
would
been. And
what would you say are some of the fundamental qualities of the Miami art world compared to maybe New York or Los Angeles? And and what are some of the things that drew you to it?
well, Miami's just my home. I mean, it's where I grew up, so I was always gravitated towards it because it's just where my family is. It's where my culture is. It's like I just always it's home. At the end of the day, I can go anywhere and I can go there, and it feels like home. You know, I it's changed a lot, but I can go to the art shows and I know a lot of the people there, and it's not like, oh, I've known you for 5 years. Oh no, I've known you for 20 years. Like it's that sort of thing. So a lot of the people there I've known for many many years. Miami. Um, when I moved back to Miami, it felt very, very, very conceptual, very trying to be intellectual in a way that I don't care. you know, uh, I just love painting and sculpture. Like for me, that's like what I want to look at. I just want to look at just
Do you
mark
sculpt also?
making, huh?
Do you have sculptures also? Do you have a sculpture practice as well?
It's something I want to do. I just haven't. I was doing some ceramics for a little bit, and then some of them broke, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna like organize this in a way that is going to be the right time. So I would like to do ceramics. That's really my interest.
Wow.
And glazing, I would love to do more of that. But yeah, I love paintings and I love sculpture. I'm biased. I just what I love. It's what I love. If it's not that, it's nature. I love looking. I love, for me, I can find art just in nature. I just love looking at trees. I love looking at old houses. I can see art anywhere. It's around us at all times. It's
Yes.
unintentional by everyone, you know. So that's what I really love. And so in Miami, to me, it felt like just very like very conceptual. Uh, some of the smaller up and coming galleries, there was a lot of that, which is fine. I respect it, but I just like really visual work. And and it's grown a lot since then. I feel like now it's a lot more open to painters. I feel like it's a much more painter friendly city. So it's definitely grown a lot. I feel like there's a lot of different villages within any art any the global art world. I feel like there's a place for painters, there's a place for um sculpture, there's a place for architecture, there's a place for furniture design. I feel like there's so many different um villages within the art world. And I feel like Miami's starting to build more like they're I feel like I have more camaraderie with other painters, where before felt felt like not as much,
Right.
and so um that's what I've noticed. But Miami's very big. Like, I think what it's really known for is a lot of it is known for like the street art, like
Yes.
on a much more popular scale. It is the murals and the muralists and all that. That's kind of what Miami um is known for. For people that like don't know about art just in general. I think it's just a place for that. And I think that's what's really popular right now. And it's been popular for a long time, like just graffiti.
Yep.
I feel it's a really big place for graffiti. For people there and people that come and visit and things like that. But yeah, there's a lot going on.
And why do you think that like that has not appealed to you?
Graffiti?
Mhm. Or the classic, like the stereotypical Miami kind of aesthetic or vibe of of Miami art. What made you zig when they're zagging?
Well, it's not intentional. It's just, it's just like it's who we are, like it's who I am. Like I can't if I'm gonna like if I'm gonna do something I don't want to do, I'd rather just be a merchant or something. Like why like I'd rather do something else. Like, why am I gonna like why am I gonna follow the wave of things, If I'm doing something and it is the wave, then that's fine.
Yep. Yes.
Since
Yes.
it's not a part of it, I don't I'm not gonna do it.
So
I'm much more I have an OG mentality of like, okay, if you do murals, like I'm not an opportunist. Like if that's what you do and you've been doing it for years, that's for you, you know? So
what has been the guide of your aesthetic wave?
I feel like it's just a combination. It's a mix of just things I've always gravitated to imagery wise. Like I feel like there's elements of surrealism, abstract expressionism, figuration, a little bit of pop culture dabbled. It's just like things that I don't know. Sometimes I just go out and I get excited and I want to make it a part of my work. And I'm like, I'm just going to do it my way and I'm just going to do it. But I also know that there's power in like keeping things simple. And that's always been a struggle of mine. Like, okay, like sometimes things could be too busy or sometimes you're trying to say too much or too much stuff is going on. So it's kind of it's always it's a balance and I have to pick and choose what I want to do. Like for a while I was making pots and right now I'm doing a lot of like paintings with smoke. I don't know where the smoke came from. I think it's from cigars. Um I just grew up with cigars. All the older men in my family smoked cigars and there was always
Cuban.
smoke everywhere.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. Yeah.
Cuba's
That's what
Wait, this is so crazy. I just got some Cuban cigars.
I nice.
Oh nuts. I'm not really a smoker.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I mean, cigars and smoke it started seeping into my work because I was doing the coffee pots and then I don't know, the smoke just started appearing and I just started incorporating smoke and now it's like appearing in chimneys and fires in nature and things. And then now I'm starting to paint more nature because I moved to a part of Florida that's just has a lot more nature than I'm used to in Miami. And there's like trees everywhere and I don't know, like old, pine trees, gigantic pine trees and just more vast landscape compared to South Florida. So that sort of made its way into my work as well. So it's like, man, like I have all these interests. Like, how do I have to like, I'm doing this, but I want to do this. And then it's like, it's, it's just a juggling thing. I feel like every 4 years, I feel like my work always changes naturally. And since I don't have like I don't know how to say it, like a market where it's like we only want to buy this or we only interested in this. It's like I have the freedom to just kind of move around as I please. And I think even if I had people, I've even had people that like specific work, and just naturally I just gravitate away from it. Some people are like, I like your new work. I don't like your new work. I like your old work. Why don't you do stuff that you used to do? And
So
at
that
least I think if long as people can say that, I think that's a good thing, because at least they like something, you know?
well, that and that you're evolving. So I would love to hear about like just the progression of like what you were doing when you went to art school and like how your work has progressed and like what you are most proud of in like evolving as an artist and then where you see yourself going.
um Yeah, when I was coming up, I mean, I was like just really inspired by, I mean, I'm talking about like, late 90s, mid 90s. In the 90s, I really liked, like I said, in the 90s, I loved Keith Haring, Basquiat, Kenny Sharp. They were like, being 16, 17 in like 1997, 1996, that was like who I really liked.
Yeah.
And then from there, around college, I started liking more, the like the Mexican muralists, and like I started getting more into like German expressionism and cubism and modernism, and then it just slowly
Who's a famous
started
expressionist that I would know or that that listeners would know?
expressionists.
You said German expressionist?
Yeah, from that group, I guess one of my favorites is definitely Max Beckman.
I don't know. I'll write that
Great,
down.
and then another one which he wasn't. I don't know if he's an expressionist, but I love his work. I mean, apparently he wasn't really well known during his time, because during the Second World War, so a lot of his work I think was stored away, so no one really discovered him for a while. And that's Otto Dix. It's Otto, and then last name Dix. I loved his work. I mean, I like so much stuff, man. I When people ask me, I'll tell you who I like, and then there's like 10 other people that I'm like looking at, and it's just I
Wow.
can't. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, man, it's gravitated. Like then for a while, I was really more into just abstraction, and then from there, I was gravitating more towards like de Kooning, and of course some of the other ones I like, Gustin, uh, man, you name it. I can't even think off the top of my mind, but
So, okay, so
yeah.
basically those were the people that were inspiring you, and then your work started to kind of evolve in what kind of way, throughout your living in New York and then going back to Miami or, Miami, then New York, and then back to Florida.
I think my work before always had like this I'm talking about like a long time. It had like a certain darkness to it. I don't know, I can't really describe it. Just had a, not in color, but just in mood. Just really moody, dark. Even if it's like something light, it always felt kind of moody. And from there I started in New York, I started incorporating more like cartoon imagery as a form of abstraction and as a form of still life. I would try to use like a cartoon as a starting point. So I would paint a table, and instead of like a pot, I would just do like a cartoon head of something that looks like Ren and Stimpy or something. And I was doing that for a while, but I was kind of using those images more just as shapes, and I was more interested in the shapes and some of the properties of it. And and then from there, it's just slowly changed. And then I noticed for a while, since my work was had a darkness to it, I wanted to make it more light. So I wanted to
Did
have like a
that
nice.
did that darkness like represent a certain element of your psyche or like, how do you reflect upon that now?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Yeah, like definitely a part of the way I was feeling really deep inside. because I think all artists they all pull from a place of deep pain or anxiety or trauma, and I think it comes out. If 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 they're truly sincere, it will appear some form or another. And I think it did appear, in even though I wasn't the content wasn't dark in nature all the time, but I think people can pick that up, that there's something. Someone told me once, like, oh, there's a lot of like it's bright, but there's a lot of dark colors as well. And it was somebody that wasn't like a critic or anything, and they could pick it up. So I thought that was really interesting. So there was a time where I wanted to, okay, what if some of the darkness stays in there, but then I try to put a little bit of humor, because life is beauty and happiness and joy and sad moments and darkness. And then also there's like, we laugh. So I was interested in adding more of a like just funny. I don't know how, but I just want people to look at it and think it's kind of funny as well. Um, and that comes more from my childhood of being into comics, Mad Magazine, cartoons. So
Also,
it's
humor is
all
a
these
great way
interests,
to
huh?
digest. Humor is a great
What's
way
that?
to humor is a great way to digest and overcome pain.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. So I feel like the themes are the imagery always changes. It's art history and culture, cigars, smoking, um, coffee, things that are very not towards one culture. You go to every corner,
Cigars.
every every corner. Yeah, I just had a coffee earlier. Um, every corner of society, you're gonna find some form of smoking. And like my fiance, she's Lebanese, and we went to a festival in Tampa last weekend, and there was hookah everywhere and there was smoke everywhere, and I was like, whoa. I was like, the smoke reminded me of like the cigars and stuff. And I don't know, there's just something that I don't know, every culture has. That's why I like it, because it's very universal. I feel like
Except
everybody can.
LA.
Yeah. Exactly. So I feel like everybody can relate to it in a way. I think long term, I will
Yeah.
see. We'll
Yeah, yeah, it's very human. It's almost
try to. Yeah. I try to make it as real as possible as I can be, and sometimes I feel like I succeed, sometimes I don't. I feel like that's a part of the process, um, as a painter. So, how'd
and
you find my stuff?
I've been
Because I know
following I've been following you on Instagram for probably a decade.
yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
We lived in New York at the same time.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe we even met. Who knows?
we probably did. Yeah, I mean that's yeah, yeah. So you were there around the same time. Wow.
Yeah, I was there from 2001 to 2019, 18, 19.
Yeah, we were there at the same time. Did you used to go to a lot of the openings and stuff? Yeah,
Definitely.
I probably saw you at like the Hole or one of those places.
Abso-freaking-lutely. I
Yeah,
was there
I
all
used
the
to go
time.
to a lot of the openings.
Yeah, I'd loved going to the hole. I'm trying to get
Yeah,
some of the team on the show.
nice.
So, all right. So we've got a couple more minutes. So I would just love your take on, you know, what the art market is to you as a painter and a participator, and then and then anything else you'd like to share um, on the
I
podcast.
mean, I guess I could just share that I've tried to build my life around being able to do art however I want, and not feeling the pressures of a market or anything. And I've set it up in a way where I don't become desperate, where I can make my work, and I've set up my life in a way where like it's not like the beginning where I needed to do this, I needed to like sell this, it was more of like, okay, it's out there, I can do it, I can make the things I want, I can be do it from a place of peace, and I can do it and I'm okay.
Yeah.
And um if the work I make is appreciated in 50 years, I'll live with, I can live with that or not live with that, as far as like I probably, where, who knows where I'll, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
where will I be? But um I just want to make the work that I'm happy with and that I feel really good about, and that people can share and I can inspire others in any way. Um that's like the fundamentals of it for me. And I don't want to be a slave um to anyone. And so I've set it up in a way where I can just make my work and be successful in
Really
like
powerful.
the way it's just been this far. It's just
Yeah.
so I feel very, very successful in my art. And obviously art that's the thing about art. You never feel like you've you reach the point you want. But everything else, I feel like the
Even
circumstance
Picasso.
of being able to do art, I feel like I'm in a place where I can make the work I want, and I can do it when I want, and I don't need to put it away. I can always do it. It's there. Like you just saw me. I just walked from an area where I can paint, and it's like I have an area where I can paint. So so
That's
yeah, it just
priceless.
feels good. Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
that's how it feels right now. So I'm grateful.
Well, I really, really enjoyed hearing your story and speaking with you, and I'm so grateful that you came on the podcast in these early episodes.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Anytime.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah. Awesome.
So that's
Appreciate it.
it, and I'm going to stop recording.